Hi, I'm Stephanie J. Block.
And I'm Mary Lee Fairbanks.
Welcome to Season 3 of Stages Podcast,
where we continue to bring creation and connection to center stage. We just lost Stephanie.
We did.
She just disappeared. You don't see her on your page, do you?
No.
Oh my goodness. Hold on. Let me just text her really quick. My computer just died. Trying. I'm hoping to be back soon. Okay. Poor Stephanie. Oh, here she is. She's back. Everything's rebooting. He's back. He's back.
And we're back.
It all just turned off and started to reboot. Thank you, Seb.
Faith, you have no idea how many times we hear this. Seb?
You think I'd be better at this? No, we love you. Thank you. I'm just not. This is a frequency where I don't speak this language. Hi, everybody. We are so lucky to be speaking to this human artist, and I consider her a treasure. In 2000, I found myself in a rehearsal space with some idols of mine. I was hired to understudy Donna Lynn Chaplin and Alice Ripley in a very special engagement tour of James Joyce's The Dead. Watching this ensemble was extraordinary. They were talented, but they were individual. They had a shared rhythm and a nuance, and it was a rare gift to be present. I knew it at the time, and I still recognize that gift now. This cast was led by Stephen Bogardus and Faith Prince, and I was truly in awe of them. I had only known them as Whizzer and Trina, respectively, but now in front of me, they had transformed, they had become, and they had inspired me greatly. Faith had won the 1992 Tony Award for her amazing performance as Adelaide in Guys and Dolls. She had already garnered a Tony nomination in her Broadway debut, people, as Tessitura in Jerome Robbins Broadway. And then she went on to be recognized by the Tony Committee and the Broadway League for her work in Bells Are Ringing and A Catered Affair. I know from her stellar performances and from watching her work, this was someone I wanted to emulate. I wanted her range and I wanted her command in a room. I wanted, selfishly, to be given the opportunity to play comedy like she did with Adelaide, and then to stand legit and classic and poised like she did in Anna and the King and I. Very few actresses are trusted, the word trusted, with such opportunity and range. So when Faith looked at me during our time together back in 2000 and asked, if you want theater to be your future, what are you still doing in LA? It's time. It's time to move to New York City. This was not said in coddling. It was not said with a whole bunch of flourish words. It was straightforward. It was direct. And she was telling me what I needed to do. I listened, I transformed, and I became, in large part because of the influence she had on me. She continues to influence so many through her solo and cabaret shows and through teaching the next generation of artists. She has starred on or guest starred on so many television shows and all of the major networks and so many movies that your jaw would drop. And once the writers and actors strike is over, I encourage you to stream all of them and binge because she is spectacular. Please welcome to the podcast, the incomparable Faith Prince. Because you got to have faith, the faith, the faith. I got to have faith, the faith, the faith. Faith Prince, to stage, please. Ms. Prince, can we have you to stage?
You got me.
I gotcha.
It is so great to meet you, Faith. I saw you in Guys and Dolls, and you were a wonder.
A wonder.
A wonder.
You know, it's hard to suck as Adelaide and Guys.
No,
no, that's not true.
I think it really, that is a role. They did such a wonderful job writing that piece, but I loved being able to sort of give it my point of view. And that's, to me, that's great musical theater too, when you can really put your stamp on it. So thank you. It's one of the best shows, the best times in my life, and one of the hardest. I mean, some hard things happened during too, but it was rich, I would say.
Do you feel free in sharing with our listeners what might have happened during that stage of your life that made it a challenge?
I lost my only brother.
Oh, my goodness.
So, you know, you're in the highest of the highs and you're enjoying all the fruits of your tree at that moment. And I was sort of in the middle. I'd been in New York probably 13 years and really hadn't gotten my first Broadway show till 10 years into it. I mean, I was a late bloomer. I've always been sort of a turtle, in the tortoise and the hare. I'm always the turtle. And that's why I encourage, young students, what you are at 17 may not be what you are at 27. Go for the work, go for the craft, keep walking, because nose to the grindstone, you really can persevere and be relentless and change and go from a caterpillar into a butterfly. And I think that's what I was seeing in you. You were just about to take flight. And that's why I was so direct with you, because I thought she really needs to hear, I think I said, get thy ass to New York.
Yes, there was some Shakespearean flair to it.
I had a flair of that in there, but I was very direct because I saw it. I saw it, like I always say, like infrared. And I just thought, wow, this girl knows what she's doing. It was there.
Oh, thanks. But I will say, even then, I was I was probably close to 27 when I started to inch my way there. And I didn't get to New York, really put my foot on a Broadway stage till I was 29. So I too, working hard.
Bad, I think that's kind of a good thing. And it was the same way. And when I finally got there, I thought, oh, yeah, I know what this is.
We know how to do this.
So natural and not overwhelming because of all the steps I had sort of done to get there. So when I got there, I thought, oh, this feels good.
You went to CCM, right? In Cincinnati? Yeah. Did you feel that propelled you in a great way to get to New York? Or
Definitely. That was a life-changing experience.
That school pumps out remarkable talent and longevity. A lot of their students just keep on going, like they endure, their careers endure.
Well, I went in the dark ages when there were basically 3 colleges, I mean, maybe a couple more, but, it was like University of Michigan, Carnegie Mellon, and CCM. I mean, there weren't a lot of places you could go for a BFA in musical theater. And I was from a really small town in Virginia and did well in high school. I had a real mentor there, and he really thought, he talked to my parents and said, I think Faith would really, I don't say this often, but I think this would be a great field for her, because I was going to go into music therapy.
Interesting.
And I spent my summers working with special needs children and ran the music department, in my 14-year-old way. for the camp. And I saw the difference music made with their lives and stuff. So that's kind of where I was headed. And then I got into plays and stuff in high school. And this mentor, Carl Harris, who was the choral director there, he went to my parents and just said, I think Faith should really pursue this. So it changed the course of my trajectory. And when I got there, I realized how little really I knew. It took me a while to really catch up, which is why I say I'm the turtle.
None of us know most anything, though. And when we first get to college, we don't really know anything.
These kids that I was in the class with, they had been doing it since they were 7. I mean, they were just
groomed for it.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
So you've always sort of been a teacher. I mean, even when you wanted to help kids, heal through music therapy, that's the form of teaching.
I had a natural, I was a good babysitter, and I used to, teach them songs on the piano instead of watch TV and things like that. I was a counselor at camp for a while. I was an RA. I was a resident advisor at college. So I was mother-like, which is why I'm always sort of drawn to Jerry Herman, because he wrote great roles for mother-like roles, not necessarily mother roles, but mother-like.
Yes.
Then
you're an anti-mame.
I'm a natural anti-mame. And then when I became a real mother, then I used all the sort of goods, but it has helped a lot in my teaching.
Do you find it equally as fulfilling, or how is the fulfillment different between being on stage? More fulfilling.
It's the best thing I've ever done, and I didn't see it. I still love to perform. I don't need to perform anymore. I don't need it, but I love it. And I'm very choosy when I do it. And usually it's to keep sort of in the field to be able to be a better teacher.
Do you have a piece of advice that you find you're always imparting to students? Is there one piece of advice that seems to keep coming back for each of your students?
Well, I call them faith-isms, little faith-isms, but mostly it's to start honing your own instincts and trusting them. I find that a lot of people are not raised to trust their own inner voice, and
very much so, especially women.
Yeah. The one thing I always say that I wish I had taught my younger self that I know at this age is that I really knew a lot, that I should have trusted that early on. I was always looking for a Svengali, to sort of impart information. And I mean, it's the old adage. It's the same thing in Wizard of Oz. You had this all along. It's the Japanese where he looks into the pool and sees himself. I mean, it's pretty common, but I think just to remind people that start listening, and the signs will show up, and you really do know to start trusting that younger, and that everybody has a story even early on. I kept thinking, oh, wait till I'm older and I'm wiser to do things. And I mean, I create acts for young people all the time. In fact, I encourage them to use their audition material as they've written it. It comes from them.
Oh, yeah, sure.
Connected to their material.
Yes.
So I've really tried to pass that baton on. It's not about, the 8 bars and the 16 parking and barking. I really need you to show up and carve your space out. And what is the dilemma? You've got to give me, especially, I mean, again, there are no hard and fast rules, but usually the dilemma of the song shows up in the beginning. And then maybe we cut to the end, so we get to the surge and we can hear the high note, but then it means something. It's right. A reason. I mean, I was just at the Kristen Chenoweth boot camp, which I've done for like 6 years. It's interesting to see these kids start putting together, oh my God, this is a scene. It's not just a song.
Right.
You can see the first time and they're like, oh my, and then they go back in and they can't wait to get back up there with another piece of material to show you what they've learned. It's, I mean, I get chills thinking about it. It's really exciting to see them come into their own and they go, oh my God, I had no idea.
Faith, when you were in New York City, were you also a teacher there, or did it take you to kind of leave the city in order to find this whole new skill set and calling that you love so much?
That's exactly how it happened. My son was probably, Henry was maybe in the 1st grade, and he was having a hard time because, Larry, my husband, is a trumpet player, and we would do 8 shows a week all the time. We had a great full-time nanny, and I thought things were going pretty well till one night at supper, it was passing the mashed potatoes, and he said, "Hey, Mom, do you think you could put me to bed before college?"
Wow.
And there was no malice. Which made it even more like
heart-wrenching. Yeah.
Oh my God. I was just like, and so Larry and I talked about it, and I said, yeah, I think we need to change this up a bit. Cause I mean, there was no way I wasn't going to be an actress. He wasn't going to be a musician. That's who we were. So we sold our house and moved to LA. I started doing more television, and occasionally I would go out and do symphonic things, and then I would have larger periods of time back at home. But I had the weekends off most of the time, especially with television. It was more of a routine, like he saw his other friends and their parents. So it kind of saved us for that time. And that's when I started changing it up. And somebody asked me, I think it was Alex Ryback, who plays for me, a pianist. They were doing a conference at Yale. That was the first time I just went, well, I don't really teach, I was like, I don't even know where to jump off of. But when I got into the classroom, I really had a lot to say, and it was so fun. And it was like, oh, I had some thoughts, and so I kind of did for people what I kind of do for myself.
And talk about learning how to trust your instincts. I mean, getting up in front of those kids and trusting your instincts and teaching that you're able to see what it is they need, and you're trusting that, and that B, you're able to, what you have to impart is really helpful and worthy of them hearing. That's kind of
positive. How can I find the way to say this that will reach you, as opposed to a negative,
right, of course.
But Great. How did that feel? Now let's, instead of going from the door, maybe let's go from the window,
Right.
And a lot of those things I got from like John Doyle and Tina Landau, and just those were more inspiring to me than the people that was like, oh, that didn't work, because it was such a negative. You'd have to take out the knife, wipe off the blood, stitch it up, and then you couldn't remember the note.
Yeah. That whole concept of tearing people down to build them back up,
Wasn't interested.
that is not for me either. Even as a student, I wouldn't function in that environment very well. But I wanted to go back to when your son said, "Are you ever going to put me to bed before I end up in college?" when my son was little, Steph and I have talked about this a ton of time on the podcast. I stopped working for a while because I wanted to not miss the childhood that I knew was going to go super, super fast. And my husband came up with this concept where he would say, we have to pretend, because it's pretty close to the truth, that we're only going to get 500 invitations from our child in his childhood. Whether it's 500 invitations and one of them says, Dad, come play catch with me. Mom, let's go get an ice cream, whatever it is. We have to know that we said yes to 495 of them. When I went into motherhood with that kind of expectation, I think it rounded out my life in a way that was unexpected. And it made my life more balanced and bigger than I had expected, which then made me better at being a performer and being a communicator than I ever could have been had I not been aware of the limitation of time, of the finite time in his youth. And I learned so much from that, which made me a better human on many levels,
Many levels. Yeah.
Absolutely. You think it's going to sort of do the opposite. I remember an agent saying to me after I'd had my child, he said, oh, well, I just thought, you wouldn't be interested as much after you had your child, because I found that with a lot of people. And I went, oh, no, now I'm really interested. And it's crucial what we choose now. And the time that I put in really must count, because
valuable.
The other person is the most important thing to me, like his well-being, his trajectory. I was old enough at that point and had enough sort of water under my career bridge to know that I really better be paying attention over here. But now I still had to do this job over here. But it was more, I had to be more discerning.
That's right. Yeah. We had the playwright Sarah Rule on the podcast, and she used an analogy that I have now used daily. She said it was the time of COVID. We were barely getting out and about. But I remember one of the first times, I'm now using her voice, paraphrasing, but she had said, I went into the subway system and I put in my card and it said, do you want to add time or do you want to add value? And she said, I sat there at the MTA machine almost paralyzed, because these two words took on completely different definitions now. And usually I would have just put value, put more money, give me more. But the time of it all, what can I get done in that time? Am I really doing it? Am I doing it to the best of my ability? And so now every single question that kind of crosses my table, I will go, okay, what's the time and the value of this? And those two words, since she's said that to us over a year and a half ago, they've left such an impression on me. And now that it's kind of resurfacing in this conversation, it's very true. You add a human being that you are caring for, and you add those words, time and value, your brain and your heart shifts in such a dramatic way. And
now it's my mom.
Now it's your mom.
Care of my mom. So I've had to kind of shift and do that. But one thing I know, and it's like the word selfish. That's not a bad word.
Yeah.
Not a bad word. Because my feeling is you have to be true to yourself. I knew I wasn't going to be somebody that was just people pleasing and sort of a martyr. That I wasn't interested in that at all. But I have to be true to myself. And within that, how can I serve this other person best of my ability? It's a tricky balance. I'm even like, because I got to keep going. I'm sort of doing the career thing, doing the family thing. And if I'm not in the driver's seat, happy and stable, nothing.
It all falls apart. That's right. Yep. Not to use the analogy again, but you got to put on your mask first and then put on your partner's mask and you both shall be saved, hopefully. Exactly. Right?
I used to say to my son, he goes, Mom, you're going away. What are we going to do? And I said, well, you're going to have a really good time here. And I'm going to go away and have a really good time. And when I come back, we're going to have a better time.
Oh, yeah.
But I was just like, I'm not going through the stern and drama and I'm going to cry too. And, I couldn't be that person.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's made him strong. He's very discerning. He's pretty good boundaries.
It teaches you that it's okay to have some self-love and do some things that work for you, as long as you're honest about it and as long as you are in the moment. And then it allows them to have that same thing for
I think
themselves.
he really saw that I wasn't gonna go to that place.
That's a great lesson to teach a kid. What is he like, your son? How old is he now? Is he a performer?
He's
What's
28.
he like?
Honestly, he's one of the kindest, generous people on the planet. I feel like I gave the planet a really good person.
Amazing.
And does some music producing. He does mixing. He's a great guitar player, does that on the side. So he does a myriad of, he's still finding his way to the absolute, what is it? It's been interesting to bear witness to that. And I see why the job, sometimes it's not fixing it or, making it right. It's sitting in the sandbox, watching somebody else figure it out. How did that feel? What do you think? And sometimes that really is the hardest job. I see why my dad and mom wanted to, fix it for me,
Right. I learned a new term last week called radical acceptance. And I'm really trying to put it into practice in my life. Practice radical acceptance, because there are things that are not only is it not in your realm to control or to fix, but it's not your job to control it or to fix it. You have to allow people to make their own mistakes and just be there to love them. You have to allow people to have their own journey. And if it's harmful to you, you take space.
But
It was a great term.
Take away the word allow, because if we go back to these young people, or as we wanted to when we were young, to trust our instincts, that's the gift, to say, you don't need the answer from me. I want you to feel competent and confident because you've got it. I'm going to want to tell you, like even when Vivi was learning to speak, you want to finish her sentences, but until she finds the word or is able to say the word, me filling in the gaps for her is not helping her.
Actually,
so it's not
robbing her.
We're robbing her. That's right.
We're robbing them of the chance. I mean, how many times did I splat big time? And I felt the wall hitting up against that wall. I don't know what it is about our generation. We wanted to make it not so hard for them to do that, but it's a disservice.
It is.
And I have to really remind myself, allow him to be what he is. Like he'll say, Mom, I know that was your way. This is not my way. And I go, you know what? You're right. But to have a plan. So just make sure you have a plan. It doesn't have to be my plan or your dad's plan. It's just.
But some kind of plan would be great.
You gotta have some kind of plan. There you go.
The plan better not be coming to mom and dad for a check.
Exactly.
I remember reading when my son was little that you have to allow your kids to fail often, because our lessons come in the form of little whispers, little knocks at the front door. And if we answer the little knocks every time for them, they never learn to hear the knocks. So the banging just gets louder and louder and louder and louder until the universe kicks down the door and pulls the rug out, and they're lying on the back going, what the hell just happened? Because we never allowed them to listen for the little whispers, to listen for the little knocks. And it's something you teach yourself to do, to notice the little flags, to listen for the little whispers. And if you don't know how to do it, you miss out. You miss out on opportunities. You miss out on the small lessons that don't have to get gigantic before you learn them.
And when they're 4, you go, oh, and then when you're 13, you're like, oh, they still need me. But trust me, there are people in my life that are now 40 and still don't have the confidence within themselves to say, I can be this, because they're waiting for someone to give them the spoon, put the food on the spoon, stick it into their mouth. And you're like, oh gosh, this whole time their support system thought they were helping them along the way, when all they did was cripple them.
Turn them into victims.
Yes. And it ain't cute anymore when you're in your 30s and 40s.
No.
Yeah.
And then I'm not saying you can't get it back then, but it's a lot harder.
A lot harder. Yeah. A lot harder.
So I always say, it's like the cobbler's children, here. I remember when he was auditioning for colleges, and I thought, oh God, I'm helping all these kids sort of coach them for different colleges and stuff. And here's my son, and he comes to me and he goes, Mom, what's this? It was shingles. He had broken out shingles.
Oh, because of stress. He was that nervous.
And I said, okay, we have to really have a talk. And he said, yeah. I said, what's going on here? And he said, well, what if I don't get in anywhere? And I just said to him, what if you don't?
Yeah. And then
let's go there. He goes, oh God, Mom, I'm going to always do music. I said, yeah. So what the fuck are we talking about? Get your guitar, play me your song, tell me your story. Just tell me your story right now with the songs you got. Tell me your story. And he got the guitar and he played them. And I said, that's what we got, babe. And I said, you know what? And if they don't get it, we move them to the rear and we go a different way.
But at least you had something to say. And that's where it has to start, because you can sing all the big notes, you can pretend all you want and do the riffing. But if you don't have something to say, nobody's listening. That's right.
Tell your story.
Yeah.
That's what you got to concentrate on. Past that, we have no control. But I know you know the story with this guitar. He got in.
Can I ask what song he sang to tell his story?
No, he didn't sing.
Oh, he didn't.
He played.
Oh, interesting.
Played the story.
Isn't that funny? As a singer, I immediately put words and lyrics, but
there had to be lyrics.
Of course, the dancer's going to tell their story with their dance. The musician's going to tell their story with their notes.
Sure.
Of course.
I mean, it's in every situation.
Yeah.
And it had humor. It had, it was in a myriad of emotions and feelings. And I went, concentrate on that. That's the job. Right now, that's the job. We don't know what they're looking for. Just like when I go into an audition, I don't know I just did something where I put my point of view on it. I can't help that they may have looked for another thing. It was my take on it. And if they're smart, they know I could make another take. But, you can only go with your point of view.
Yep. And the other lesson that he really got out of that is learning to cope with ambiguity. Life is filled with it. It's filled with ambiguity. We don't know what's going to happen. And you learn to cope with that. And by looking at your fears and saying, yeah, and you start to chip away. Like, what are you really worried about? Okay.
And not backing off of it. Yes, that is a possibility. Let's go for I always say worst case scenario and work backwards. But I just said, okay, what if you do? What if you do?
Then what?
What are we going to do? Oh God, well, I'm always going to do this. I'll find a way. Exactly. That's ding, 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 ding. That's the right answer.
That's the right answer.
So but in that moment, I'm like, oh my God, my child has shingles. And here I help all these other kids, it's like the cobbler's children don't have any shoes. It's like, I was like, God, please don't let me be that person. When he gets to be 28, it's just different things. You never stop being a parent, and that's okay. That's what I signed on for.
And everything is temporary. You're helping your mom right now, and you're helping to ease her old age, and you're taking care of her. And that's a really challenging thing to do. But nothing is forever. It's like what we were saying about when they're little kids, you get 500 asks. Well, you know what? You don't know what the future is with your mom, and you just try to be present where you are at the moment. And it's incredibly challenging. I know I took care of my dad when he was very ill too, and it's incredibly challenging. But there are gifts in those challenges, and the gifts are equally as rewarding as the challenges themselves. And
yes, if you can hang on.
If you can hang on for the ride. Yeah.
But again, it's just interesting to me that there are no manuals really for the most difficult things of our lives. I mean, there's a better manual for driving a car than there is for raising a child or dealing with an elderly parent.
You sure?
I know that you do a lot of cabarets, and I
was going to say,
and I know that you do them with one of my favorite humans in the whole world, Jason Graw.
Isn't he delicious?
Oh,
I mean,
my gosh.
is he the funniest? He came on our show, and all we did was laugh for an hour. There's nothing he can say that's not funny.
He changes the alchemy in the air around you.
He really, truly does.
He really does. He's been one of my dear friends since college. He has the amazing ability, and that's why I love him too. He can take any situation, like the situation I just had with my mom. She broke her patella. She fell the other day. I literally watched her fall in the living room.
Gosh.
Now he could take that situation, and already he'd be riffing about everything that happened, about the trip to the hospital. I mean, we would be riffing on that for days. He can turn any, and I guarantee it, any dark situation and make it hysterically funny.
Hysterical.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
still maintain humanity within
Absolutely.
that. You don't feel you're being made fun of, or he's looking at you or the incident as less than. He still feels the weight of it, but drenches it in humor.
Absolutely. And
Such a great gift.
and very self-deprecating. I mean, he can be
right.
self-deprecating, which I love, but his irreverence is my favorite.
For all things.
Yes.
He's the
It's
best.
only you could have said that. Only you.
Yeah, he
You're
gets away with things that no one else could get away with.
No,
Well, as
because
Alex-
he's equal opportunity. No one is safe, but you still feel like you're being lifted up all the while he's beating you down. I don't know how he does it.
I've done so many acts with him. Do you know? Hey, that's why I look like this. It's, really, it's be on stage with him. I finally did say to him, okay, you can only say like, isn't she's coming along like 3 times during. Okay, these are my students now. They're looking up to me, and I need you to be mindful, please.
Just mindful, please. Your act is called The Prince and the Showboy. Is that right?
Well, there were 3 different names. The Prince and the Showboy, which scared away some people. And then it was called You and Me, but mostly me. And I thought it should be called You and Me, but mostly we. It's been several different titles. So
Do you have anything with him coming up?
we don't actually for our show. He's gone off the rest of the summer. We were such a hit in Los Angeles the last time they wanted us back, but we haven't found a time for it yet. But I don't know when this is running. They haven't announced the next show I'm supposed to do. So I don't know if I say it or whatever, but I'm rehearsing a new show actually in New York in the fall.
Fabulous.
Oh, congratulations.
So, yeah. So I'm doing that, and I've been going to schools like Western Michigan. I'm going to Ohio University for the 2nd time this year, and I coach a lot of the students, and then we kind of do an evening. I do an evening with them where they're doing their material, and then I'll do some of my material, and they'll kind of join me on stage, and that's fun. And I find that very beneficial because it's kind of like skiing with somebody. You can either break it down, or you can say, you know what, I'm going to go down first. Let's sort of jump into it. Sometimes that's a fun way to learn rather than always so analytical. I mean, there's a time for that. I certainly have the brain for that. My dad was a nuclear engineer, and I always go, I don't really have his mind for physics, but the way I look at talent and people as a whole is sort of a puzzle. And I'm very intrigued by that. So I do have an analytical sort of way, but sometimes just jumping down the slope is the best way. Just feel this. Now start moving the knees. Let's go closer to the ground, and you can see them going, oh, wow, this is fun. This feels good.
Yeah.
My technique is sort of a myriad of those two things, sort of picking things apart and then just emotionally going for it and seeing how far you can dip down.
That's the only way you can exist somewhere. I mean, like anything, just taking Vivi on this tour with us, we could have read all about these different places and the different monuments in Washington, D.C. But until you're standing there and you can feel the marble, you are now existing in that place rather than just knowing it exists and it's a thing. You are now part of that story. So I think that's very much how you teach. Here it is. This is what it looks like. This is what it tastes like. Now, until you jump in the lake, you don't know what it feels like. I can't explain that to you until you're in there. So I think that's a beautiful way of teaching.
And sometimes I'll grab them, and I did this thing the other day. I taught in Point Park, and I flew in for the morning, and I literally had the students, I'd say, okay, let's take it again. And now we're on a park bench and we're hanging out together. How would you tell me this story? And you could feel them interacting with me, and suddenly it took it. I mean, these were young kids. These were like 13 to maybe 16, and you could feel them just, they were experiencing the material in a completely different way, as opposed to, I'm going to stand up and stay in one place, and you know, and I would interject things, you know, and you could feel it sort of shift things. It's just so much fun.
That's a beautiful
It's
way
that
of looking
manipulation of because everything has energy and vibration to it. You know, it's like you were saying, Steph, you can think you know what the concrete what feels like, but when you walk up and you actually touch it, it feels like when you walk into someone's home, it has a vibration. You feel it. Is it heavy? Is it light? Is it? And so they can imagine what it is to tell the story, but to be in it and feel the control that you can actually manipulate that energy and bring it to different places.
Yeah.
That's the magic behind what it is, like how you deliver it.
And when to see them experience that for the first time is just, it's thrilling. And that's when I know, okay, you know, I used to have this feeling that somebody was tapping me on my shoulder, and I told my girlfriend that back in Hastings. I said, she goes, something's going on with you. And I go, yeah, it feels like somebody's telling me something, like this ain't it. She goes,
Could
what
that have been your brother?
Could have been.
You mean, wait, to go, so you mean like if you were in a situation
and I was living it, but I was just, there was something that wasn't right. Like, I don't know what somebody's telling me. And she goes, well, what do you mean? And I said, I don't know. This is not the end of everything for me. She goes, well, what is it? I go, I'm not sure. But when I left there, went to LA, and naturally got into the process of this, that went away.
Wow.
And I went, oh yeah, this feels really good.
Oh, wow.
I was so fulfilled by that. And I sleep better, and I'm just not as restless.
Making a difference.
Yeah. And now it's navigating with it, because it's a responsibility. Again, how do I put the mask on and find the balance? I think that's the challenge now. But I never wake up any day and go, I'm bored.
With these young people you work with, and them looking at the landscape of theater and how it's always changing and growing and becoming something different, do they express a lot of hope or concern for what they're looking at in the future, being artists in this industry?
I think there's both, and there has to be both. But as I say to them, you know, banking's hard.
Right. Choose your hard.
So if it's all going to be hard, you might
as well do what you love.
Really passionate about.
Right.
And even if it doesn't become the thing, like some people get into it and they go, oh man, just the not knowing is just killing me. Well, maybe pick another aspect of it you can control more. Sometimes it leads to the road down the road.
Yeah.
And parents make me crazy sometimes. And I talk to the parents at Kristen Chenoweth Boot Camp a lot, because that was a landscape that people really, it wasn't in their conversation to think that being in the arts was a real possibility.
Right. What's your real job? If you do this, then what's your real job?
Yeah, which makes me crazy. That's just, I mean, excuse me, a fucking
so demeaning.
It's just a fucking waste of time. It's like, I'd rather use that energy to focus in how are we going to get there.
Right.
You know, and I say to them, you know, your kids are not stupid. They're smart. They won't keep going down a road that's not going to feed them, or they can't find their way to navigate. But going down the road may be the most important thing they do. So you've got to now trust them. And I always say, failure to me, the only failure is not trying. You've got to let them and support them, because trust what you've done and put into them. They're not going to navigate down that road. If it's not getting what you need, you'll find another way to go, or you'll get more information to maybe get there a different way. But trust your own kids.
Right. And it's about how you view failure. If failure is a bad thing, then you're so afraid for it to happen to your kid. But if you view failure as just like a signpost that says, okay, well, that wasn't right, let's try a different way. And and you make adjustments according to the failure, and that's how you succeed.
Exactly.
But for me, the arts, any investment in the arts is never a failure, because you
I
will
agree.
use the musicality, you will use the listening skills, the eye, making eye contact. You can use this in any line of work or any stage of your life,
Yep.
and it will benefit you. You may not earn your paycheck doing it, but it certainly will enhance every move you make from there on in. Period.
And it may make a difference in the decision you ultimately make, what you do.
Right.
You know, I mean, I've seen a million people take off in, if I took you to the lot at Paramount, which, we've probably all been there, there are so many jobs there. I mean, people look, I mean, they really look happy,
Yeah.
even people transporting the set or doing the props or being the writers in the room or, producing or marketing. I mean, there's so many jobs.
Because you're sitting in creative energy. You might not be the actor, but you're in that energy field, which is amazing.
It's that frequency where you belong. You'll find the frequency.
Right.
Right,
And even now there's all these big corporations that are hiring people to come in and teach their salespeople how to tell stories, because they're learning the importance of stories, and they're learning how effective it is to tell stories and how you can increase sales. You can increase your business capacities by telling stories. These things are all, creativity is the basis of, or it should be the basis of everything.
And this is caveman stuff.
Vivi is about to audition for the local production of Annie Jr. She doesn't want Annie. She wants Miss Hannigan. She's 8. Do you have any hints for this kid?
The thing I can tell you about Miss Hannigan is a couple things. It's vaudeville.
Okay.
Means the humor is in threes, right?
You'll understand that.
Lay it out, set them up, bada boom. It's a thing. When I went into the show, I was trying to sort of reclaim some of that had gotten lost. Because if you watch Dorothy Loudon, and that was my pilot, she was my pilot sort of girl.
Okay.
She's real vaudeville. It's not ethereal humor, which is very, different. It's threes. But my other thought about Hannigan is she has a real push-pull to her. She's one way with the kids. Listen, you little, come here. Come here.
And then she's dripping with honey with everybody else.
Yes, when a man comes in the room.
Mm-hmm.
And it's that push-pull, wherever you can find that, when the guy comes in with the milk and the this.
Yes.
Oh, it's just so wonderful. Come here.
Find the dilemma.
Find the dilemma.
Well, and the frustration. And the reason she resents, I think, Annie so much is because she has all the same yearnings and she has not gotten her needs met. And they're parallel. I really felt for Miss Hannigan, I mean, I felt for myself in the role. I just felt her pain. I really did. And I thought, boy, her yearning, it's the depression. She isn't married. She has no money. She's in charge of all these kids, and it's an environment where they're constantly yearning, and she doesn't really have the capability of really being warm and fuzzy because she hasn't gotten what she needed. On top of that, she has a drinking problem.
Well, yeah. I think Annie Jr. stays away from that particular thing.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know at that age how much they'll put into that. Could be funny.
All right, we've arrived at the 5 questions, but just before, a word from our sponsors.
Tell me your perfect sandwich.
Well, I'm Southern, so I like thin sandwiches. And I like chicken salad or tuna salad. But if I were going to do it, it might be a slice of ham and one side buttered, the other side a little mayo and mustard mixed with a sliced summer tomato.
You are giving me a little porch finger sandwich with a mint tea.
Exactly.
Yes.
Really, I mean, I have a myriad. I might make a tray of different ones, and I love pimento cheese.
Faith, do you have a nickname? What is it and who gave it to you?
Well, my friends call me Faithy, But my brother gave me my first nickname, Dee Dee. I think he couldn't say sister.
Oh, Dee.
See, Dee Dee.
That's sweet.
Okay, if you could wake up tomorrow morning with a superpower, what would it be?
And I say this very gingerly, but psychic ability
You want to see the future.
to sort of calm people or help them.
Is there a garment or an item in your closet that you will never get rid of because of the memories it holds?
I have a Betty Boop doll that my brother gave me.
Ah, very sweet.
Okay, last question. If you were a nail polish color, what color would you be and what would the cheeky little name be?
For some reason, I remember, and this was probably in the 70s, that green color, it's almost a chartreuse, came out. Maybe Sally Bowles wore it in Cabaret.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
Sassy chartreuse.
Yes.
I was thinking it ain't easy being green.
I like that better.
As long as there's no defying gravity attached, I approve.
Exactly. And it's funny, I've never worn that color, but I've always been fascinated by it. A girl wore it in high school and she made it look chic.
Right. Those that can pull it off. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Right. Well, I adore you. Thank you for this time. And I hope to see you soon. Yeah.
It was great to meet you.
It was great to meet you.
Big love. Bye. Anyway, that's Faith Prince.
She's the best.
Pretty great.
Yeah, I
Pretty
did
great.
see her in Guys and Dolls all those years ago, and I was like, oh my God.
Yeah.
And her
But-
chemistry with,
Nathan Lane.
oh Lord,
mean,
amazing.
No.
They were
I mean,
amazing.
of course. Fireworks. But then she comes on and goes, oh, no, it's the way the part is written. You want to say, oh, no. I've seen many in Adelaide that did not do what needed to be done. She's quite extraordinary.
She's a deep thinker. It's obvious.
Yeah.
She thinks a lot, not only about as an actress, like getting up and think about the part, but she thinks about all of the things she does in her life. You can see she goes deep. She likes to go deep. That's
We
why
didn't
she's
talk
a great
about
teacher.
shows. We didn't
I
talk
know.
about Facetta Land. We didn't talk about any of these shows. She
But
talked
that's
about
what I love. That's why
students
I love
and
these
life.
conversations.
And yeah.
You can see how much she loves teaching. Every time we brought up something, it circled back to teaching.
You're right.
How lovely.
You're exactly right. Yeah.
How lovely.
Interesting too. What I think I'm searching for now is that I'm feeling the hand on my shoulder. I don't know what it represents. I just know that it represents a crossroads, and I know that it's trying to guide me somewhere. And I just need to be a little quieter and stiller to find out where I'm being led. Wherever I go that first time may not be right, but I do feel a shift in the wind, a change in the wind. I do.
Radical acceptance.
Radical
When
acceptance.
you just let go, you just allow. You can't control, allow, and be open. See where it goes. See what happens. You know.
Yeah.
It's, it's one of the hardest places to be in life, because I think we all want to control where we're going and see where we're going and have our plan and have our goal. And sometimes you don't. Sometimes you just have to allow. And you'll end up exactly where you're supposed to be. Maybe not on your timeline, but you have to find the quiet space to let that happen.
I'm taking some liberties, but I think this country does not foster that way of thinking. You know, when I travel around the world, there seems to be a little more leniency and breadth in just living the experience and allowing the radical acceptance. Here in the US, I don't find that to be the same sort of relationship with the days and relationship with time and value, right? How are you spending your time? What does value look like to you?
Yeah.
And somehow we have defined it in a very different way here in the US. And I want to redefine those things for myself.
Yeah. You know, it's so funny. You saying that made me think years and years and years ago, my dad went to Italy and he came back and he was telling us about how everything shuts down at, 1 o'clock. And then
Great.
from 1 to 3, you
Siesta.
go home and you eat and you take a nap and there's nothing open. And my brother's first reaction was that of an American. Oh, well, we should go there and we should open up a shop so people have somewhere to go and buy stuff when they need stuff during the siesta. And my father said, well, no one will go. No, they'll shun you for that. This is quiet time. This is what they value. This is how they have family time. This is how they have time together to regroup, to regenerate.
Yes.
And they do it every day. But from the American perspective, it's how can we profit off that? How do we
Right.
profit off that? the profit,
profit
is the quiet
is in the
time.
rest. The profit is in, that's
the
right.
value
The food
in-
is actually going to taste better when you wake up re-energized from your nap and you get to commune with people over this food instead of just go sell. The net value of something is, Seb was just talking about that. He's like, there is, of course, the bank account that is your net worth or net value, but there's also your health. It's far more than just go. The stillness is a major part of the doing and the experiencing. And then it makes the go all the more worthwhile.
It's a balance, isn't it?
Oh gosh.
Because you want to be
everybody talks
fulfilled. You
about
want to
that.
do things that make you feel fulfilled, but you have to find that place. Hard to find.
Hard to find.
Hard to find.
Everybody's striving for it. And I will continue to strive and I will continue to feel that hand. But you know what? For me, it's already a win to recognize that there's actually a hand on my shoulder. And my instinct is saying, I feel you. I feel you. I don't know exactly where we're being directed, but I know you're there. And
That's
that
totally
in
a
and of itself
win.
is a huge victory. Yeah.
To be that self-aware and to hear it and to heed it is huge. And you have to drive yourself to a point of exhaustion to
Correct.
realize this isn't. I remember a while back, Steph. I mean, I don't remember. I think it was probably before you went on tour where you said, I think I've traded off some of my happiness to be special. Do you remember saying that?
It's a book called From Strength to Strength by Arthur C. Brooks. And yes, there is a line that says, do you want to be special or do you want to be happy? And I was striving. Now, I'm not saying that you can't have both if you've got the right balance, but my balance was off and I was striving for, I've worked so hard to be respected in the industry and to be considered, for lack of a better word, special, and that I wanted to continue down that road. But like we've had many conversations on this podcast, the cost with which that comes is high. And I was finding that I was saving my better self for the 3 or 4 hours that I was at work or on stage. And then I was lacking when I was with my family or going about my regular daily life. I was saving it all for the special on a Broadway stage. And so I've got to redefine that balance.
You know, what would be really interesting, what keeps occurring to me is I am sure there are so many parallels between the actual theme of Into the Woods and this transition.
What I'm going through right now. Yes.
Because Into the Woods is life, as
it's
we've
the
talked
and
about
in
so
or.
many times. Yes, it's the and or. Yeah.
The or means more than it did before because I've done it. I've gone out there for 20 some years and done it. And now I've seen the or and I go, oh, it is fulfilling. It is beautifully fulfilling. Yeah. And again, I'm not retiring. Nothing is changing so drastically that I will not find myself in the arts or music.
Always have to evaluate.
That's right. That's right.
Because your performances can't be good if you're not feeling balanced internally.
And you got to get out and live the world and feel the deep feelings and meet more people and travel. And that goes into your creative, talk about net worth, bank account in order for you to be a deeper, more full artist.
Yeah.
And
I
that's,
completely agree.
may not be the goal to be a fuller artist, but to be a fuller human and a better wife and a better mother. And that all comes from life and humanity. And we'll see what it brings, lady. These conversations certainly do that.
Yeah, they do. I love these conversations. And I love you.
I love you too.
All right. Go
Bye.
Enjoy. Love you. Stages podcast is produced by Stephanie J. Block and Mary Lee Fairbanks in association with iHeartRadio. It can be heard on the iHeartRadio podcast and iHeartRadio Broadway or wherever you listen to your podcasts.
Please join our cast by signing up at stagespodcast.net, listening, sharing, and leaving a 5-star review. It all makes such a difference in getting the word out. Thanks for listening, and we will see you again soon.